headlines of this hour on VTV News. Vietnam remains important investment destination. And Tây Ninh boosts exports to the Halal Market. In our world news, Biden campaign changes strategy in presidential race.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good afternoon. It is 3 p.m. local time and you're tuning in to VTV News. I'm Huyen Trân with the top stories. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính, head of the government's Administrative Reform Steering Committee, chaired the committee's 8th meeting on Monday. The meeting was also connected online with 63 provinces and cities directly under the central government. In the first half of this year, the government's administrative reform efforts have achieved significant results. This includes reducing and simplifying 168 business regulations and nearly 250 administrative procedures. Basic salaries have increased to their highest levels ever. The country has reduced 33 public service units at the ministerial level. State budget revenue for the first 6 months reached 60% of the estimate, increasing by 15.7%. However, the Prime Minister pointed out 5 existing issues and proposed 5 accelerations that aim to quickly overcome these shortcomings. These include speeding up the removal of legal obstacles for mobilizing development resources, fostering dialogue between authorities and people and businesses, enhancing public service reform and administrative discipline, and promoting digital transformation and cashless payment. Vietnam continues to be a significant investment destination in the medium and long term amidst the ongoing global supply chain restructuring. The total registered investment capital has reached nearly $15.2 billion since the beginning of the year, according to the Ministry of Planning and Investment. This is an increase of more than 13% compared to the same period last year. Notably, the quality of investment projects has improved considerably. Many large projects in the fields of semiconductors, energy, manufacturing components, and electronics receive new investments and capital for expansion in the first half of the year. FDI capital was mostly channeled into localities with such advantage such as good infrastructure, stable human resources, improvements in administrative reforms, and dynamic investment promotion. According to the General Statistics Office, Vietnamese exports to the U.S. reached $54.3 billion, up 22.1% year-on-year, ranking first in a turnover growth rate and surpassing other markets like the EU, ASEAN, and the Republic of Korea. Vietnam currently has 8 export items to the U.S. worth over $10 billion, including computers and components at over $10 billion, and textiles and garments at $6 billion. With this growth rate, two-way trade turnover may soon exceed the $100 billion mark this year. According to Trần Minh Thắng, head of the Vietnam Trade Office branch in San Francisco, Vietnam is the 8th largest trading partner of the U.S., with the 3rd largest trade surplus just behind China and Mexico. The halal food market catering to Muslims is a rapidly growing market encompassing approximately 2 billion people worldwide. With a strong attraction of FDI, especially in high-tech agriculture, the Ninh province is currently promoting exports to this highly promising market.
Reading the Quran and saying Allah's name before slaughtering a chicken are actions that must be carried out by a Muslim. After the slaughter, the chicken must be hung upside down to drain all the blood. These are mandatory rules since the factory received halal certification, which is required when importing goods into Muslim countries.
Muslims prioritize their faith above all. When they see the halal logo, they trust and use the products. We must adhere to their customs, especially slaughtering according to their procedures and ensuring animals are not mistreated.
Currently, in Tây Ninh, livestock farming is shifting from small-scale operations to concentrated farm models. These models ensure biological safety through semi-industrial and industrial methods, apply advanced technical progress, minimize environmental pollution, and target the halal market.
Currently, we're exporting to markets such as Hong Kong, the Maldives, and China. Regarding food safety, before export, eggs must be sent for veterinary checks and food hygiene and safety tests for microbiology and antibiotics in food.
Each year, the Muslim market spends about $20 trillion on halal food. In Southeast Asia alone, this figure is approximately $460 billion. However, Vietnam's agricultural and fishery exports to the halal market remain modest and mainly comprise raw and semi-processed products.
For agricultural products to enter stringent markets like the halal market, the first requirement is to be competitive. Secondly, we must overcome technical barriers, which sometimes also act as protective barriers. Thirdly, we need governmental commitments. For example, Singapore has a high demand for poultry and eggs but requires us to commit at the government level to the veterinary surveillance and disease control system domestically, and sign agreements with them before they agree to import our products.
To prepare for increased exports to the halal market, the NINH Department of Agriculture and Rural Development has established disease-free zones in the districts of Zuong Ninh Chau and Tan Chau, and soon in Tan Bien and Chau Tong. This not only aims to proactively prevent diseases but also helps NINH's livestock products in particular, and Vietnam's in general, meet the regulations under new generation free trade agreements.
The export revenue of the leather, footwear, and handbag sector is predicted to hit $27 billion in 2024, based on the positive results seen so far, according to the Vietnam Leather, Footwear, and Handbag Association. To achieve this target, the industry is maintaining its shares in traditional markets. It is also working to expand and diversify its markets, especially those with a free trade agreement or FTA with Vietnam. Enterprises are continuously recruiting workers to accelerate production progress. In the first half of this year, Vietnam's footwear export turnover reached over $6.5 billion, up more than 5% year-on-year. Currently, the leather and footwear sector in Vietnam has more than 1,000 shoe manufacturing plants, employing 1.5 million workers and contributing about 8% to the national GDP. The fruit and vegetable market has seen a significant growth in the first half of this year. Export turnover reached $3.4 billion, a 28% increase from the same period last year. The key to establishing a strong market presence is the quality of produce. Consequently, in many production areas, farmers now closely follow quality standards for each type of produce to meet market requirements.
Every step during the 2-month melon growing process is carried out according to strict technical criteria. The main purpose is to produce melons that meet market requirements. This farm is invested in by Songxing Farm Company Limited on arid land in Ninh Thuan province. Here, melons are grown in greenhouses according to the global gap farming process.
I grow them in isolation to minimize the impact of the old garden on the new one. I use insect traps to reduce the need for pesticides.
No pesticide residues are present. All standards must align with the requirements of consuming partners. For instance, in market segments where melons must weigh no more than 2 kilograms, the farm must intervene from the cultivation stage. Before being sold, every product undergoes rigorous inspection.
We do our best to meet customer requirements regarding weight, flavor, and product appearance.
The average selling price of this type of melon is $1.6 per kilo, 10 times higher than that of watermelon.
Enterprises, farms, and distribution units coordinated with functional agencies to unify standards, norms, and production according to VietGap and Global Gap. Only then will the output products be of good quality.
In South Central provinces, high-tech farms lead in cultivation renewal to ensure agricultural products meet market quality standards. As a result, These products are in high demand and fetch good prices. This encourages farmers to focus on quality improvement, catering to consumers' higher demands.
Transporting export goods by container to Haiphong is one of the targets of the National Waterway Corridor Number 1. The localities along the transport corridor connecting VTV, Hanoi, Haiphong, and Quảng Ninh had many factories and industrial parks, providing a substantial source of goods. However, there are bottlenecks on the route that need to be resolved to ensure maximum efficiency in transporting containers by waterway.
Tân Cảng Quế Võ Dry Port is strategically located along the central stretch of National Waterway Corridor Number 1, connecting VTV, Hanoi, Haiphong, and Quảng Ninh. This location offers moderate transport distances and benefits from several preferential policies for container transport via barges, resulting in a cost reduction of 10 to 15% compared to road transport. To ensure sufficient transport capacity, the port's design allows for the operation of 160 20-foot equivalent unit barges.
With a capacity of 160 TEUs, loading and unloading containers in 4 layers are feasible. However, the current infrastructure cannot support this. Using numerous small barges to handle large outputs would lead to higher costs.
Despite being a newly constructed bridge, the current clearance of Bình Bridge is only 7.5 meters. This limitation means that although barges are designed to stack containers in 4 layers, they can only stack a maximum of 3 layers to be able to pass through.
In the near future, research will focus on increasing the clearance of Bình Bridge to 9.5 meters to facilitate the transport of containers stacked in 4 layers. The Ministry of Transport has also studied areas with restricted curvature radii along the route to enhance convenient transportation.
On the National Waterway Corridor Number 1, there are currently 3 bridges that hinder development: Bình Bridge, Hồ Bridge, and Duong Bridge. Duong Bridge is currently being invested and renovated. Therefore, upgrading the remaining bridges, especially Bình Bridge, is necessary to ensure synchronization along the entire route. Once the bridge clearance is improved, the efficiency of this transport route will increase by 25 to 30% compared to the present.
Now, before we move on to other important updates, let's take a look at the foreign exchange rates of today, July 15th. Coming up next on VTV News. VNE idea to make vehicle registration more convenient and time-saving. And Ninh tour among world's best experiences. Welcome back to VTV News. Now, continuous heavy rains between Sunday night and Monday morning in some parts of the Central Highlands and the northern mountainous region caused landslides and 2 deaths. In Sơn La, a sudden landslide caused a motorcyclist death. Similarly, in Đạ Knàng Commune, Đam Rông District, Lâm Đồng Province, a landslide resulted in 1 fatality. There is still a high risk of landslides, flash floods, and flooding in areas from Thanh Hóa to Quảng Ngãi and the northern delta and coastal regions. More thunderstorms are forecast for Monday and the next 2 days. In particular, Thanh Hóa to Quảng Ngãi will experience widespread heavy rain, with some places receiving very heavy rainfall exceeding 250 millimeters. Residents in the Central Highlands and southern regions should be on alert for landslides, flash floods, and flooding, as the rain will persist until this Wednesday, with some areas receiving very heavy rainfall exceeding 200 millimeters. Starting August 1st, Vietnamese citizens can register their vehicles and receive license plates via the VNeID application. Residents can complete vehicle registration procedures at their temporary residence without returning to their permanent residence locality for a number plate.
Every day, hundreds of residents come to the traffic police office in Cam Lit district to complete their vehicle registration. Administrative procedures have been simplified and are faster, but it still takes residents several hours to receive their license plates. Today, Thuong has to take the morning off work to complete her vehicle registration. She hopes these procedures will be available via VNeID soon.
When the new law takes effect, vehicle registration can be carried out at home. I don't have to register my motorbike at the local vehicle registration authority.
For those who own domestically produced and assembled vehicles, carrying out registration procedures via VNeID is considered a step forward. However, according to Phan Cuong, he and other employees still don't know how to help customers complete registration procedures through the app.
We handed over vehicle registration documents for customers, as we think they can receive their license plates at home. However, we have no idea how these procedures will be carried out.
There are only 2 weeks left, but so far, police officers at vehicle registration authorities have not received detailed instructions on how to carry out registration procedures via VNeID.
Citizens have faced difficulties in carrying out their vehicle registration procedures via the app. Meanwhile, we have not received guidance on how to implement the new law.
Vietnamese citizens can own multiple identification plates, according to a Ministry of Public Security circular on granting and revoking motor vehicle registration and number plates that took effect on August 15, 2023. However, during the initial phase of implementation, many localities faced issues with server systems. Therefore, registering vehicles via VNeID is expected to benefit citizens in the near future.
Ho Chi Minh City is constructing 5 social housing projects and 1 worker housing project, totaling nearly 4,400 apartments. The city aims to build about 70,000 to 93,000 social housing units by 2030. The Department of Construction noted that the city faces many difficulties and obstacles in developing social housing and worker accommodations, especially due to complicated investment procedures for social housing projects. The ever-glamour Nha Trang 2024 festival theme Brilliant Galaxy began on the evening of July 13th at April 2nd Square in Nha Trang City, Thanh Hóa Province. The highlight of the event is a drone light show competition. The festival takes place on the nights of July 13th and July 20th and features international teams from the Republic of Korea, China, France, and the UAE. According to the Provincial Department of Tourism, the event is expected to attract over 50,000 residents and visitors each night. The department also reported that hotels and resorts in the city have already reached an average occupancy rate of over 80% during the festival. Thanh Hóa aims to welcome 9 million visitors, including 3 million foreigners, and targets tourism revenue of approximately $1.6 billion this year. The world's largest travel guidance platform, TripAdvisor, has revealed its Traveler Choice Awards Best of the Best Things to Do 2024. The full-day Ninh Bình Highlights Tour from Hanoi is on the list of the top 10 experiences in the world. As the only destination in Vietnam on the list, Ninh Bình Province has helped popularize Vietnam's green tourism brand.
Biking offers a unique way to experience a destination. Many foreign visitors to Chang'an choose biking for a memorable adventure.
It's a little bit chaotic and Ninh Bình is very beautiful.
Even in low-season travel months, many European tourists still want to explore the beauty of Chang'an and Tam Quoc.
So far it's been really nice, really friendly. It's incredibly stunning here.
Ninh Bình authorities have prioritized the preservation of historical and cultural values. Transforming ecological sites into tourism products has given tourists valuable insights into the locality.
We will continue to cooperate with Vietnamese and international archaeologists to carry out more research and excavation in other historical sites.
Ninh Bình has consistently been ranked highly by both domestic and international organizations. In the first 6 months of this year, tourist arrivals in Ninh Bình exceeded 80% of the provincial tourism department's annual target.
Coming up next in our world news, Biden campaign changes strategy in presidential race. And Hamas confirms it has not left ceasefire talks in Gaza. Now moving on to our world news, U.S. President Joe Biden's re-election campaign quickly changed its strategy after an assassination attempt on Republican rival Donald Trump in western Pennsylvania last weekend. Within hours of Saturday's shooting, Biden's campaign was pulling down television ads and suspending other political communications, including those that had highlighted Trump's May felony conviction in New York State Court. Rather than verbally attacking Trump in the coming days, the White House and the Biden campaign will draw on the president's history of condemning all sorts of political violence. President Joe Biden on Sunday condemned the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump and called for unity. He also pledged an independent review following the campaign rally in Butler, where former Trump was shot and injured. A strike on a United Nations-run school in a Nusayrat camp, one of the Gaza Strip's 8 long-standing refugee camps, killed at least 17 Palestinians and wounded dozens more, according to Hamas media and local health officials. On Sunday, Israeli forces continued to press ahead with aerial and ground shelling of several areas across the coastal enclave, home to 2.3 million people, most of whom have been displaced by the war.
The Israeli military said the site was used as a base for Hamas fighters to attack Israeli forces. Numerous steps were taken to limit the risk of harming civilians, including the use of precise munitions and intelligence. Residents said 2 missiles targeted the upper floor of the school, not far from the camp's local market, usually busy with shoppers, where displaced families have also taken shelter nearby.
We entered the classroom and all of a sudden they were carrying down my sister. Hit in her head, she was dead. My young sister and Mahmoud were lying on the ground. They all were martyred.
My hands got paralyzed. I cannot move them. Oh God, have mercy on us. Designate a safe zone for us and then you fight with each other away from us. What is our fault?
The missile hit and we didn't see each other. We started to run and my daughter got injured. She is in hospital. I know nothing about her. The martyrs are on the ground.
The Gaza Health Ministry said more than 38,500 Palestinians have been killed and 88,881 others injured since October 7. Gaza's health ministry does not distinguish between combatants and non-combatants, but officials say most of the dead throughout the war have been civilians.
A senior Hamas official said on Sunday that the Islamist group has not withdrawn from ceasefire talks with Israel following Israel's attack on refugee camps in Khan Yunis. The Hamas Political Bureau described such reports as baseless. After negotiations between the Hamas Political Bureau's leader, mediators, and several countries in the region, when talking about Israeli military attacks, Hamas said Israel's move might prevent the peace deal from being reached. At least 90 Palestinians were killed and 300 others injured in an Israeli attack targeting displaced persons camps in the southern Gaza Strip on Saturday, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. Israel said the target of the attack was Hamas military chief Mohammed Deif, noting that the army was awaiting the results of the raid. The Japanese government is considering setting a new target to cut its greenhouse gas emission by 60% to 66% by fiscal 2035. This comes as the country braces for another sweltering summer amid global warming. Japan currently aims to reduce emissions by 46% in fiscal 2030 compared to fiscal 2013 levels. According to the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, to achieve the goal of the Paris Climate Agreement, emissions need to be reduced by at least 43% by 2030 compared to 2019 levels, and at least 60% by 2035. Environmental groups are calling on Japan to lead by example by aiming for even deeper cuts, noting that industrialized nations bear a heavier responsibility historically for emissions that have led to global warming. Now let's move on to the weather forecast. And that's all the news we have for this hour. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app VTVgo or check out our YouTube channel VTV4Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.